When your destination is discovery, there are no wrong turns. That's why, at its very core, the new 2025 Lincoln Aviator SUV provides momentum beyond mere transportation. In this thoughtfully crafted and confidence-inspiring SUV, your destination is not about where you can go, but who you can be. Explore more at Lincoln.com. Lincoln and Aviator trademarks afford or its affiliates.
Being a marketer's no sweat. You just have to manage dozens of channels, launch hundreds of campaigns, score thousands of leads, and okay, fine, it's a lot of sweat. Unless you have HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools to help you do all that and more. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. The holidays are here, and you know what that means. It's time to get your friends and family the gifts they deserve. Take the stress out of shopping with Amazon's great deals and low prices on a huge range of items from toys to tech and much more. Whoever you're gifting for, Amazon has great prices on everything you need this holiday season. Shop early holiday deals now.
Are you kidding me? Jayden Daniels does it again, and this time whilst playing injured, and Washington is going nuts. Detroit stomp a mud hole and walk it dry through the Tennessee Titans, and the Chiefs, well, the Chiefs remain perfect. Week 8 is in the books, folks. More games are just around the corner, so what are we waiting for? Let's turn the page and look ahead to Week 9 in the NFL.
Graves on Gridiron with Richard Graves.
Hello, welcome along to the show. This is Graves on Gridiron. I am your host, Richard Graves, and Week 8 had a little bit of everything. Drama, tension, excitement, and the most incredible finishes to some of the games as well. As for our picks, we were 1-2 against the line through Week 8. That makes us 14-11 on the season. Still ahead. It's a record we're looking to improve through Week 9. The team that came through for us, the Detroit Lions. The line was set at 30 points. They scored 50 against the Titans. Elsewhere, it didn't go so well for us. The Chiefs and the Raiders combined to score more than 43 points. Unbelievable in the game, given the way they've been playing as well. So it was 1-2, the record last weekend. But the good news is we have 3 more games to look at this weekend in the NFL, and it's going to be highlighted by Jayden Daniels and those Washington Commanders, because simply you cannot ignore the Commanders any longer. What started out as a feel-good story is now turning into full-blown optimism for the Washington Commanders. New head coach Dan Quinn, a rookie quarterback taken with the second overall pick, Jayden Daniels, and doing it all whilst playing injured. Does it get any better than that? Well, if you're part of or a fan of the Washington Commanders, it certainly does not. We will look ahead to their clash against the New York Giants shortly, but we're going to start this week's previews with the Los Angeles Chargers as they travel cross-country to the Cleveland Browns. The Browns, who themselves enjoyed a rare victory in a stunning upset of the Baltimore Ravens last weekend. They are 2-point underdogs at home to the Chargers going into this game. The Chargers sit in third place in the AFC West, and they might just be a little bit disappointed with their standing right now. But make no mistake, with a 4-3 record, they are very much in contention for a place in the playoffs and a postseason berth come January. Last weekend, they took care of the New Orleans Saints, a depleted Saints team, but you can only beat what's in front of you, and they did it handily. Now, they go to a Browns team who, let's be honest, have been hugely disappointing this season, and that's before they started getting hit by the injury bug. Cleveland's potential, though, you have to say, was on display last weekend. No one at all fancied them against the Ravens, even with home field advantage. No Deshaun Watson. Dorian Thompson-Robinson was missing that game injured, so they turned to their third string. Famous Jameis, that's right, Jameis Winston stepped up as the starting QB and provided the spark they needed. The problem is, Winston, notoriously through his career, has been inconsistent, and that's why he's been demoted to third choice in Cleveland, and frankly is yet to convince anyone that anything has changed. They're going up against a Chargers team with a run-first offense. They play tough, physical football under Jim Harbaugh, and you'd think that's the type of football that Cleveland would relish. But look, the Chargers don't make mistakes often. They have a quarterback in the form of Justin Herbert, who, when needed, is more than capable of making those big plays. Their defense, that complements everything well, ranks number 1 in points allowed this season, number 8 overall. Now, compare that to the Cleveland Browns, who are at best middle of the pack in the NFL in any major defensive category you wish to choose. Their offense is the 31st ranked overall offense in the National Football League. They rank 27th in scoring. They average merely 17 points per game. And this makes last weekend's success, for me at least, against Baltimore all the more surprising. Once again, they have home field advantage. But the question is, can they repeat that trick? Can they go back-to-back? They've only won 2 games all year, folks. They've lost to the Bengals, the Raiders, the Giants, and the Dallas Cowboys, all teams with losing records. It could be that last weekend's win was already the highlight of the season for the Cleveland Browns. I think it was. I don't think the Chargers are going to have any issues going into this game. Like I say, tough physical football. It should be the type of game Cleveland relishes. This Cleveland team just isn't the same Cleveland team we've seen in the last several years. I don't think they match up in this game. Take the Chargers at -2. They're 2-point favorites.
Graves on Gridiron.
Next up, we have the Washington Commanders, an NFC East battle going to New York to take on the New York Giants. No surprise to anybody after what we saw last week. The Commanders are favorites going into this game. A season that started with hope, provided in the form of a new head coach, Dan Quinn, and a rookie quarterback, Jayden Daniels, is now full-blown euphoria and optimism. Games are rarely won on a successful last-second Hail Mary attempt, and frankly, things like that certainly don't happen to Washington. Until now. What Jayden Daniels is doing over there is remarkable. He is already the face of the franchise without question, just 8 games into his first season as a professional football player. He's mobile, he's elusive, has a cannon for an arm, and most importantly, he makes plays. Last weekend, he went into the Bears game as a game-time decision carrying a rib injury. And after the first time he was hit in that game, the medical staff were there seen on the sideline, putting strapping around his mid-torso. Surely nothing more than a token gesture because, you know, how can you protect ribs without a bit more padding? Strapping isn't going to do anything for it. And then it was taken off as soon as he got back onto the field. Look, the point is, everybody inside that stadium knew that Daniels was playing hurt. The Bears defense saw it. They knew he was hurt. The Commanders were trailing by 3. There were just 2 seconds left on the clock. The ball was sat on the Commanders' side of halfway. And then magic happened. Jayden Daniels extending the play, taking his time, allowing his receivers to get downfield. And then from roughly around his own 30, 35-yard line, he launches this Hail Mary. It travels fully 75 yards in the air. The rest is history. The stadium goes nuts. Noah Brown standing all alone there in the end zone, holding the ball aloft. The legend of Jayden Daniels, it was big before last weekend's game. It continues to grow now. The Commanders are the outright leaders in the NFC East with a 6-2 record. And their season couldn't be more different, given what we've seen last weekend, previous weekends with that offense absolutely humming. Their season could be no more different to that of this weekend's opponents, the New York Giants. The Giants' quarterback isn't the toast of the town right now. Their offense isn't putting points on the scoreboard. And when the team does actually get a break, they're not able to capitalize on it. Monday night's loss, Monday Night Football, in Pittsburgh to the Steelers, classic example. Twice the Giants managed to get the hold of the ball inside the closing minutes of that game, down by a score, deep inside Steelers territory, only to see quarterback Daniel Jones, first of all, fumble the ball away and then throw an interception over the head of a receiver who was wide open. I mean, literally nobody inside 6 yards of him. He airmailed it. Pick. Game over. The Giants are dead last in the NFC East. Their record is the exact opposite of the Commanders. It sits at 2-6. Seemingly little hope of anything changing anytime soon. And while they've lost 3 in a row, the Commanders have won 6 of their last 7. The New York Giants average 14.6 points per game on offense. The Commanders are putting up nearly 30. They average 29.5. Washington's defense ranks in the top 10. It only allows 20.9 points a game, a lick under 21 points a game this season. Frankly, this is just a mismatch, whichever way you dress it up. If the New York Giants are to win, it will be a low-scoring game, and it would be a huge, huge upset. Either way, I think it's tough to see any scenario where they score more than 20 points in this game. That's the line that's been set, 20.5 points in this matchup for the New York Giants. They've only scored over 20 points twice all season. Once was 21 points. The other was 29 when they blocked a field goal in Seattle and the special teams took it back all the way for a score. And now they've got to go up against this Washington Commanders team and score 21 points or more. I don't see that happening. This Commanders team is having everything go their way right now. They're riding the wave of momentum. They are the better team in this matchup, and I think they handle the New York Giants, and they do it convincingly. The pick for this game is to take the New York Giants scoring fewer than 21 points. The line is 20.5. Take the under in this matchup. Okay, that's the first 2 games in the books. We're looking at the Commanders against the Giants. Ahead of that, it's the Chargers going to the Cleveland Browns. We have one more match to preview coming into this week's slate of games. It'll come after these short messages. Don't go away.
Graves on Gridiron.
When your destination is discovery, there are no wrong turns. That's why, at its very core, the new 2025 Lincoln Aviator SUV provides momentum beyond mere transportation. In this thoughtfully crafted and confidence-inspiring SUV, your destination is not about where you can go, but who you can be. Explore more at Lincoln.com. Lincoln and Aviator trademarks of Ford or its affiliates.
Okay, welcome back to Graves on Gridiron. 2 game previews in the books, 1 to come. And it takes us to Atlanta, Georgia, the home of the NFC South leading Atlanta Falcons. They are favorites going into this weekend's game, hosting America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. At the start of the season, you might recall on this show in the season opener alongside Charles Dagnall, I said, do not sleep on the Atlanta Falcons. They are my dark horses to come out of the NFC. And frankly, what we've seen through the first 8 weeks of the campaign only serves to reinforce that belief. They've swept division rivals, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and lead the NFC South with a 5-3 record. 4 of those wins have come in the last 5 games. In contrast, Big D, the Dallas Cowboys, are not faring so well. Even before being hit by the injury bug, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, you have to say all did not appear well in Dallas. Opponents have run the ball at will against them. They've piled up points on the scoreboard against them. In fact, only Carolina have a worse scoring defense than the Dallas Cowboys this season, and only Carolina are worse when it comes to defending the run. Dallas give up 28 points per game. They're giving up 154 yards per game on the ground. If you can't stop the run, you aren't stopping opposing offenses, and that's what we're seeing through the first 8 weeks of this season. And now, here comes a team with one of the best running backs in the league. That's right, Bijan Robinson, the former Texas player, second-year pro, is in the backfield for the Atlanta Falcons. He regularly makes defenders look silly, and he's as good catching the ball out of the backfield as he is running it. Align this with the Cowboys offense that was ranked number 1 overall last year, is now 15th in the NFL. It has the worst rushing attack in the NFL and is ranked 22nd when it comes to putting points on the board. If that's not cause for concern, frankly, I don't know what is. The good news, if you're looking for any for Dallas, is some of those injured players are close to returning, but largely that's on the defensive side of the ball. I think we can probably expect Deron Bland at corner to return and help that secondary this week. Micah Parsons, their star pass rusher, he's very close, likely available, I would think, for this upcoming game after being on the sidelines for a month. And the other silver lining, if you like, for Dallas is that the Falcons' defense hasn't been the tightest in the National Football League this season either. They're giving up an average of 24.4 points per game. They gave up 26 last weekend to a Buccaneers team who are down Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, their two top wide receivers. But look, either way you dress this up, I think the Falcons still have far too much firepower for this Dallas Cowboys team to be able to keep quiet on the day. I was looking at the scoring line for Dallas, 24.5, and given how porous the Falcons defense can be, albeit in winning causes, I was tempted. But look, just take the Falcons to not only flat out win, but cover the 2.5 point favourite spread. They are favourites going into this game. Take the Atlanta Falcons to cover at minus 2.5. Okay, so to recap, the 3 games that we're looking at going into week 9 of this National Football League season. We start with the Chargers going to the Browns. Take the LA Chargers to cover at minus 2. Then it's on to the red-hot Washington Commanders, traveling to New Jersey to take on division rivals, the New York Giants. The Giants can't get out of their own way. Their offense looks woeful. The line is set at 20.5 points for the New York Giants. Take the under. The Giants score fewer than 21 points in this game. And then we finish up in Atlanta. The Falcons 2.5 point favorites hosting the Dallas Cowboys. Take the Falcons to win and cover that line at minus 2.5. As always, first and foremost, folks, remember it's about enjoyment, having some fun to complement your Sunday viewing of the NFL action. And also, if you want to read a little bit more about the 3 games we're previewing in this week's show, go to my website, www.rdgmedia.uk, click on that Talking Sport app, and there you'll see this week's blog. Hail to the Commanders. Week 9, overcoming the odds, 3 games to watch. Click on that icon there, and you'll be able to read all about this week's 3 games that we're previewing. Equally, hit me up on social media with any thoughts and opinions you may have. On X, it's @RichardGraves1. Instagram is RDG Media UK. And if you want to watch back some previous interviews on this podcast, you can go to my YouTube channel @RichardGravesTV, and you'll see all the people we've had chats with across this season and going back last season as well right there. As always, great to hear from you guys, so do get in touch and have fun. Let's hope your team does well. We're looking ahead to another weekend of exciting action as Week 9 looms large in the NFL. So long, everybody.
Subscribe to Graves on Gridiron wherever you listen to podcasts, and keep up to date with the latest on Twitter. Search for Richard Graves 1. That's Richard Graves, the number 1.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.